The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow over the linoleum floors of Kellerman High School. Lena Cross sat in the principal's office, her hands clenched into fists on her lap. The room was silent, save for the ticking of the wall clock, each second amplifying the tension. Earlier that day, the school had been a cacophony of teenage chatter and the occasional locker slam. But that changed when Officer Grant entered the building. His presence was a routine part of the school's security measures, but today something felt off. During lunch, a commotion erupted in the hallway. Lena, curious, stepped out to see Officer Grant confronting her classmate Jamal. Jamal's voice was raised, but he wasn't aggressive. Still, Officer Grant grabbed him, pushing him against the lockers. Lena instinctively pulled out her phone and began recording. "Stop resisting," Officer Grant barked, though Jamal wasn't resisting. Lena's heart pounded as she captured the scene, her hands trembling. After the incident, Lena was summoned to the principal's office. Principal Harris sat across from her, his expression unreadable. "Lena," he began, "Officer Grant has filed a report stating you interfered with a police investigation." "I was recording," Lena replied, her voice steady. "He claims you were obstructing justice." Lena's stomach churned. She knew the implications of such a charge, but she also knew the truth. That evening at home, Lena sat at the kitchen table, her laptop open. She researched legal definitions, case laws, and rights concerning recording public officials. The more she read, the more determined she became. The next day, she called the local legal aid hotline. "I'm facing a charge of obstruction," she explained. "I need advice." The woman on the other end, Ms. Thompson, listened patiently. "Do you have legal representation?" "No," Lena admitted. "I want to represent myself." There was a pause. "That's ambitious," Ms. Thompson said. "But if you're serious, I can guide you." Over the following weeks, Lena immersed herself in legal texts. She practiced her statements in front of the mirror, refining her arguments. Her teachers noticed her focus and offered support. Mr. Daniels, her history teacher, provided insights into courtroom procedures. Even the janitor, Mr. Lee, shared his experiences from his time as a court clerk. As the trial date approached, Lena felt a mix of anxiety and resolve. She knew the odds were against her, but she also knew the truth was on her side. The day of the trial arrived. The courtroom was filled with familiar faces, teachers, classmates, and community members. Lena stood alone at the defense table, her notes organized meticulously. The prosecution presented their case, painting Lena as a disruptive student who interfered with law enforcement. Officer Grant testified, his account contradicting the video Lena had recorded. When it was her turn, Lena approached the bench. "Your Honor," she began, "I have evidence that contradicts the officer's testimony." She played the video, the courtroom silent as the footage unfolded. The video clearly showed Jamal being subdued without resistance and Lena standing at a distance, recording silently. The judge leaned forward, his expression serious. "Officer Grant, do you have an explanation for this discrepancy?" The officer shifted uncomfortably. "The video doesn't capture the entire context," he muttered. Lena seized the moment. "I also have a timestamp analysis and expert testimony confirming the video's authenticity and continuity." The judge nodded. "We'll take a short recess to review this new evidence." As the courtroom emptied, Lena sat back, her heart pounding. She had presented her case, but the outcome remained uncertain. Outside, clouds gathered, casting shadows over the courthouse. A storm was approaching, both literally and metaphorically. The door clicked open. Lena turned, her heart hammering. It wasn't her mother. It wasn't a teacher. It was Officer Van. He stood in the school library's doorway, his silhouette backlit by the afternoon sun. Lena's phone was still on the desk, camera app wide open, blinking red. The last thing it had caught was her whispering the timestamp aloud. Van stepped inside and shut the door behind him. "You think you're clever," he said low. "You don't know what you're playing with." Lena stayed seated. Her fingers slid across the edge of the desk, inching toward the phone. "I know exactly what I saw," she replied. "No," he said. "You saw what I let you see." Then he crossed the room, slow and deliberate. Lena's pulse raced. Her thumb hit the side button. The screen went black. That camera won't help you when the people in charge already made up their minds. But Lena didn't look afraid, because she hadn't just recorded him. She'd backed it up. 3 times. The video was already saved to cloud storage, and she'd mailed a flash drive to someone who mattered. What scared her wasn't the video being lost. What scared her was what Van might do next. "I won't warn you again," he said, leaning in. Back down. Lena didn't flinch. You just did. He stared at her for a moment, like he was trying to decide something. Then he turned and walked out. She didn't move for a full minute. Her hands were shaking. That night, she didn't sleep. She rewatched the footage again and again. Every frame. Every second. She wasn't just studying it now, she was memorizing it. Preparing for anything. Because Van's warning meant something worse. He was nervous. The next morning, school felt different. Quieter. Teachers avoided eye contact. Friends gave tight nods but didn't stop to talk. DeAndre didn't show up at all. Neither did Ms. Caldwell. At lunch, a janitor Lena didn't recognize asked if she was the girl with the case. Maybe, she said. He handed her a manila envelope. Someone left this at the front office. Didn't say who. She waited until she was in the bathroom to open it. Inside was a stack of photocopies. All black and white, grainy, but clear enough. 3 internal complaint forms. All with Van's name. All dismissed. But the last one made her knees go weak. If you're enjoying this so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us grow and lets us keep bringing you more content like this. Plus, you won't want to miss what we have coming next. Trust me, it's going to be good. It wasn't just about misconduct. It was about evidence tampering. A signature she recognized. The school's old vice principal. Retired 2 years ago. She had never heard about it. No one had. Because it had been sealed. Until now. Lena folded the papers back carefully, her mind racing. This wasn't just about her anymore. That afternoon, she called the legal aid hotline again. This time, she asked for someone who could explain how sealed misconduct reports could be introduced in court. A woman named Carlin answered. She didn't sound surprised. She sounded ready. You're not the first kid to get this far, Carlin said. But you might be the first who actually documented everything before they erased it. I have the original video. A timestamp overlay. Witness statements. And now this. You also have a problem, Carlin said flatly. If they know what you have, they may try to bury you in motions and discredit you. They already tried. Then they'll try harder. Lena didn't tell her about Van showing up at school. She didn't want pity. She wanted strategy. Can I submit sealed misconduct records? Depends. If you can tie them directly to your case and show a pattern, especially a pattern of retaliation or suppression, you can argue relevance. But it'll be a fight. Lena smiled faintly. I'm ready. The trial was only days away. That night, her mom came home early and sat across the kitchen table. You sure about this? I've never been more sure. Her mom hesitated, then slid over a small white envelope. Inside was a check. It's not much, but it's from your grandfather's fund. He wanted it used for something that mattered. Lena swallowed hard. It does. The next morning, the school was buzzing. Someone had leaked the video. It was online. Not the whole thing, just the part where Officer Van grabbed DeAndre. And Lena's voice asking, "What are you doing?" Students were whispering. Teachers kept checking their phones. By lunch, local news vans were parked outside the gates. Principal Hemley looked like he was about to combust. Lena stayed silent. She didn't share it. She didn't repost it. She didn't need to. The truth had a way of spreading without her help now. Later that day, someone slipped a sticky note into her locker. No name. Just 5 words. He's not the only one. That night, she found the courage to call DeAndre. Where have you been? They suspended me, he said. Said I was provoking the officer. You didn't do anything. I know. They sat in silence a moment. I saw the video, he said. You really going through with it? Yes. You want a witness? Lena didn't cry, but her voice cracked. Yeah. Courtroom day. Friday. She wore black. Simple, sharp. The courtroom was fuller than last time. Teachers. Parents. A few students. Even a blogger from the Southridge Free Post. Van sat on the other side, in uniform. But he didn't look at her. Not once. The prosecutor gave her opening. Short. Dry. Called Lena a disruption. Then it was Lena's turn. She stood slowly, binder in hand. I'm not a lawyer, she said, her voice clear. But I'm also not a liar. People leaned in. She didn't perform. She didn't dramatize. She just laid it out. This case isn't just about me. It's about what happens when someone with power thinks no one will question them. Then she called DeAndre to the stand. He told the truth. Clear. Honest. He didn't exaggerate. He didn't falter. She asked what was going on. That's it. She didn't yell. Didn't move. She recorded. Did she interfere? No. Was she violent? No. Was she obstructing? No. Lena nodded and stepped back. Then came the second twist. I'd like to call a rebuttal witness, she said. Who? The judge asked. Ms. Alara Quinlan, the retired vice principal. There was a murmur in the court. Quinlan took the stand, walking with a cane. I worked at Kellerman High for 15 years. I saw a lot. She looked directly at Van. And I saw him more than once overstep. Objection. Sustained. Lena rephrased. Did you ever file a complaint against Officer Van? Yes. What happened? It was dismissed. Like all the others. Why? Because they said there wasn't enough evidence. But the camera in the hall showed otherwise. Where's that footage? Gone. Deleted. Same day. Another objection. Overruled. Then Lena laid out her final piece. She showed the video. The full version. She synced it with her timestamp overlay. Then pulled out the sealed misconduct forms. And showed a pattern. Over 5 years. Unreported. Unreviewed. Buried. The prosecutor tried to interrupt. Tried to dismiss it. But the judge leaned forward. Let her speak. And Lena did. She ended with one line. If justice is about truth, then this court deserves the whole truth. Not just the parts they didn't manage to erase. Silence followed. Heavy. Judge Camber called a recess. As people stood and stretched, Lena sat still. Someone tapped her on the shoulder. A young man, maybe late 20s, dressed in a suit. I'm with the State University of Southridge. Pre-law track, he said. I've been following this case. She looked at him. I'm not looking for attention. You're not. But you've earned opportunity. He handed her a card. If this goes your way, we should talk. She pocketed it without a word. When court resumed, the judge's tone had shifted. More serious. More deliberate. Miss Cross, he said. You've introduced substantial evidence. Enough to cast doubt on the charges against you. Van sat rigid. No expression. The judge continued. However, this court has also received a sealed motion this morning. Lena blinked. What motion? It relates to your key witness, and the origin of the complaint forms. Whispers echoed. Lena turned to look at Quinlan. She was gone. The seat where she had been was empty. The judge cleared his throat. We'll resume Monday. Bang of the gavel. Court adjourned. Outside, the sun burned hotter than usual. Lena stepped onto the sidewalk, head still buzzing. A hand reached for her arm. She turned fast. It was the young man from earlier. Pre-law track. He looked shaken. That motion, he said, lowering his voice. It's not what you think. What is it? They're not just challenging your evidence. What then? He hesitated. They're reopening a case. From 3 years ago. Involving Officer Van. Same school. Same hallway. But the student who filed the complaint, he disappeared. Lena stared. Disappeared? Never showed up to testify. Case got dropped. Sealed. What's that got to do with me? They think he tried again. With you. Then he handed her a folded piece of paper. Someone mailed this to the university. No return address. Marked urgent. I think it was meant for you. Lena unfolded it. Her breath caught. It was a photo. Grainy. Black and white. A security camera still. It showed the hallway. The one outside the science lab. It showed Van. And a boy. Same hallway. Same grab. Same expression. But the date in the corner was 3 years before Lena ever stepped into Kellerman High. Beneath it, written in shaky pen, find him. The photo shook in Lena's hand. Find him. The boy's face was blurred by the grainy security footage, but something about the way he stood, tense, resisting, terrified, felt brutally familiar. Like watching history on a loop. Except this history hadn't ended. It had disappeared. Lena shoved the photo into her pocket as murmurs rose around the courthouse steps. News vans clustered by the curb. Students from Kellerman High whispered in little knots, stealing glances at her. Her name was no longer a secret. Neither were the stakes. She crossed the parking lot fast, her mind racing. 3 years ago, a missing student, a sealed case, and now a warning dropped in her hands. This wasn't just about her defense anymore. It was about everything hidden behind Southridge's polished smiles and clean sidewalks. Everything people didn't want seen. She had to find him. But first, she had to survive Monday. Back home, Lena locked herself in her room, spreading everything she had across her bed. Printouts, flash drives, the video evidence, copies of the sealed misconduct reports. The photo sat on top like a stone marker, heavy and accusing. She Googled missing persons cases from Southridge 3 years back. scoured old forums, scraped through online yearbooks. Nothing matched. No name. No photo. It was like he had been erased. At midnight, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One text. Library. 1 a.m. Come alone. The sender's name, a friend. Staring at the screen, Lena hesitated. Every horror movie screamed against it. But if she didn't go, she might lose her only chance to break this open. She zipped up her jacket, slipped the photo into her pocket, and slid out the window. The streets of Southridge were empty, except for the humming of far-off streetlights. Every shadow looked too thick. Every car that passed too slow. She made it to the school library by 1:03 a.m. The back door was cracked open, just like before. Inside, the air was cold and metallic. The lights were off. Only the faint glow of exit signs painted the walls. "Hello," Lena whispered. A creak answered her from deep inside. She followed it, heart hammering against her ribs. In the center of the library, sitting hunched over a laptop at one of the reading tables, was a girl about her age. Messy braid, torn sweatshirt, sharp, wary eyes. "You Lena?" "Yeah." The girl closed the laptop. "You don't know me, but I knew him." "Who?" The girl pulled something from her sleeve, a crumpled photo. "The same boy. His name was Jalen Pierce," she said. "Freshman year. Same hall. Same officer." Lena leaned closer. The name hit like a slap. They said he transferred schools. His parents moved him away. But that's not what happened. What happened? The girl's eyes glittered. They threatened his family. They said if Jalen didn't drop it, they'd find a reason to ruin his life. They'd charge him with assault, maybe even worse. He got scared. He ran. Where? No idea. Last anyone heard, he was couch-hopping 2 towns over. Lena felt dizzy. Why didn't anyone say anything? They buried it. Same way they're trying to bury you. The girl handed over a flash drive. Proof. Old footage. Complaints. Records they thought they deleted. Jalen gave it to me before he left. Told me to keep it hidden until someone else got close enough. Lena stared at the drive like it was a bomb. Why now? The girl smiled grimly. Because you're not just close. You're about to blow it wide open. Footsteps echoed in the hall. The girl stiffened. Go, she hissed. I'll cover you. Lena bolted for the side door, slipping into the night just as heavy boots clomped into the library. Back in her room, she plugged in the flash drive with trembling hands. Files filled the screen. Security footage. Officer complaint reports. Even old emails between administrators discussing how to handle incidents quietly. But the worst file was an audio recording. Lena clicked play. A boy's voice, Jalen, low and shaking. I didn't touch him. He grabbed me. He threw me down. I'm scared to even walk to class now. I tried to tell someone, but... A click. A deeper voice cut in. If you make this a problem, kid, it'll be the biggest mistake of your life. Officer Van. No mistaking it. Lena sat back, numb. This was bigger than obstruction of justice. Bigger than one trial. This was a pattern. A cover-up. And she was now the only one who could drag it into the light. Monday morning came like a guillotine. Courtroom packed. Tension thicker than the air before a storm. Lena sat at the defense table, her binder full, her hands steady. Across from her, Officer Van looked calm. Too calm. The prosecutor's opening move was brutal. Your Honor, he said, standing tall. We have new evidence suggesting the defense's primary witness tampered with official documents. Lena's stomach twisted. The judge frowned. Explain. Miss Cross's submission of sealed complaints was obtained illegally. Without a verified chain of custody, they're inadmissible. Lena shot to her feet. Your Honor, I can prove the authenticity. Sit down, Miss Cross, the judge said. His tone was warning. She sat, but inside she boiled. This was their counterattack. Smear her. Bury the evidence. Break her credibility. She waited, teeth gritted, as the court clerk fumbled through a stack of motions. Finally, it was her turn. Permission to address the court? The judge nodded. She rose, binder clutched tight. Your Honor, the document's origin was initially unclear. But over the weekend, I received corroborating evidence independently verifying the misconduct pattern. Gasps rippled. I have video footage, internal memos, and a recorded statement from a former student, Jalen Pierce. The prosecutor tried to object, but the judge raised a hand. Proceed carefully, Miss Cross. Lena played the recording. Van's voice filled the courtroom, cold and unmistakable. If you make this a problem, kid, it'll be the biggest mistake of your life. Silence. Pure, brittle silence. Lena stepped back. This isn't just about my case, Your Honor. It's about a culture of intimidation and cover-up that's been allowed to thrive in our school. I'm not the first. I just might be the last if we let it. The judge scribbled notes furiously. The prosecutor looked ready to explode. Van stared straight ahead, blank. Then the judge did something unexpected. He ordered an immediate recess. 30 minutes. Lena stumbled into the hall, shaking. She didn't know if it was over, or just beginning. She leaned against the cool wall, breathing hard. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. One text. Check your locker. Now. Her blood iced. She sprinted to Kellerman High across the street, weaving through the midday traffic, ignoring the stairs. Inside the empty halls, her footsteps echoed. Locker 312. Her hands shook as she spun the dial. Click. Inside was a single envelope. She tore it open. Inside was another photo. This one was different. This one showed Officer Van, not grabbing a student, not yelling, but shaking hands, with Principal Hemley, and with someone else standing half-shadowed. Someone Lena recognized. Someone she never thought would be involved. Her own lawyer from the legal aid hotline, Carlin, working both sides, betraying her, and underneath, scribbled in thick black ink. They never planned to let you win. The world felt like it was crumbling around Lena. Her lawyer, Carlin, the one person she trusted, betrayed. She stared at the photo in her hand as if it were a weapon, her pulse hammering in her throat. The image was unmistakable. Van, Hemley, and Carlin, too close, too familiar, standing together in that darkened corner of the principal's office. Her breath came in short bursts. How long had this been going on? The corruption, the lies, the intimidation. Had they planned this from the beginning? Her phone buzzed again. Don't do anything stupid. She didn't have time to think. She had to act. Her first instinct was to go to the judge. Lay it all out, Carlin's betrayal, the photo, the connections. But the closer she got to the courthouse, the more she felt the walls closing in. The people in power weren't just behind the scenes. They were already in the courtroom, pulling strings, twisting the facts. She couldn't trust anyone there. Lena ducked into the nearest alley, dialing a number she hadn't planned on calling. Alice, she said when the voice on the other end picked up. Alice was the girl from the library, the one who'd helped her when she was at her lowest. I need your help. It's all a lie. They've been working together. We know. Alice's voice was calm, too calm. We've been watching them, Lena. We have enough now. We just needed the last piece. Lena froze. What do you mean? What piece? Alice sighed, her voice low. We've been tracking Carlin. He's been tipping them off every time you get close. But today is different. You've got the leverage now. All we need to do is expose them. Not just Hemley, not just Van, Carlin too. Lena's heart raced. How do we do it? Meet me at the old storage facility by the river. We'll have everything you need. We're gonna bring it all down. The line went dead. Lena knew what she had to do. She slipped the photo of Carlin, Van, and Hemley into her jacket pocket, her resolve hardening. She was done being the pawn in their game. The old storage facility was a crumbling building that smelled of rust and dust. The kind of place people abandoned, left to rot. Alice was waiting by the back door, her arms crossed, looking both nervous and excited. Behind her stood several others, people Lena hadn't met before, but she could tell they were all in. They were tired of being scared, tired of living in fear. Ready? Alice asked. Lena nodded, swallowing hard. Yeah. They moved fast. The plan was simple. Get the evidence, get it to the right people, and get out before anyone knew what was happening. But Lena felt the weight of it all. This wasn't just a fight for justice anymore. This was survival. Inside, a projector hummed to life. The screen flickered as old footage from the police station played. Footage of Van and Hemley exchanging envelopes. Footage of Carlin meeting them in hidden places, feeding them information. The web of lies unraveled with every clip. This is it, Alice said, pointing to the screen. This is the smoking gun. This is how we take them all down. Lena stared at the screen, her stomach turning. Everything she'd fought for, every sleepless night, every shred of evidence, it all led to this moment. Let's do it, Lena said, voice cold with determination. They walked out of the facility, the evidence in hand, knowing the battle wasn't over. But now they had the power to fight back. Now they had the truth. The courthouse was buzzing when Lena and Alice arrived, the final day of the trial unfolding in front of them. The air felt thick with anticipation, the room full of murmurs and glances. The judge hadn't arrived yet, and neither had the prosecution. But Lena knew time was running out. She walked straight to the defense table, the evidence bag clutched tightly in her hand. Carlin sat at the other table, talking to the prosecutor in hushed tones. He looked up when Lena walked in, his face freezing. "You're late," he said, eyes flicking to the bag in her hand. Lena didn't reply. She simply sat down, feeling the weight of every eye on her. Minutes later, the judge entered, and the courtroom fell silent. "Are we ready to proceed?" the judge asked, his voice stern but neutral. Lena stood, pulling out the flash drive, the photo, and the evidence from the storage facility. "Your Honor," she began, voice steady despite the fire burning inside her, "I have new evidence that directly ties Officer Van, Principal Hemley, and my lawyer, Carlin, to a series of illegal activities aimed at silencing students and manipulating the court system." The room went deathly silent. "Objection!" Carlin shouted, rising to his feet. "This is inadmissible. These documents have been obtained illegally." But Lena wasn't done. She plugged the flash drive into the courtroom's computer and hit play. The projector flickered, showing the footage of Van and Hemley meeting with Carlin, exchanging money, and discussing how to handle the investigation into Jalen Pierce's disappearance. "Your Honor, this is a clear conflict of interest," Lena said, her voice cutting through the tension. "And it shows that the people in power here have been systematically covering up police misconduct for years." Carlin paled. Hemley's face turned an ugly shade of red. And Van's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. The judge looked down at the evidence, silent for what felt like an eternity. The room held its collective breath. Finally, he spoke. "This court will adjourn for a short recess. I need to review these new developments." The courtroom erupted in whispers. Lena sat back down, her heart pounding. This wasn't over, but it was a step forward. A big one. Outside the courthouse, Alice was waiting. "You did it," she said, her voice full of awe. "You really did it." Lena shook her head, still reeling from everything. "Not yet. Not until the right people see this. Not until I know they can't cover it up again." But as she looked out at the horizon, something inside her clicked. This was more than a battle for justice. It was a fight for something bigger. It was a fight for the truth. For the first time, Lena allowed herself to believe it. She'd already won.